if you ran a poll asking Xbox fans what game they wanted to see receive that Xbox One X 4K HDR treatment the most, I think The Witcher 3 would win that poll pretty easily. And if you've been looking for any information about when The Witcher 3 is getting the Xbox One X patch, well then today is your lucky day, because not only do we get information about what the patch will include, it's also available right now. What is going on, guys? Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, back again with another video. And just before we get started here, make sure you check out my last video where I talked about my addiction to PUBG. I even streamed a little bit on Mixer last night, which I plan on doing pretty soon because I just got a new PC. Can't wait to hook it up and create better content. Maybe even play some games on there. But anyways, the big news today, a lot of people, not only Xbox fans, PlayStation fans, and PC fans, consider The Witcher 3 to be the game of the generation. The best game to come out in this gen for any platform. And they announced that they would be supporting the Xbox One X when Microsoft unveiled the system, when they unveiled the games back at E3 of 2017. It got a PS4 Pro patch, I want to say a month or 2 months ago. People were replaying it. It ran pretty well on that. Well, today we get the patch for the Xbox One X, and not only does it have 4K, not only does it actually have HDR, but it also has 2 different modes you can toggle between, a 4K mode and a performance mode. So here's what's in the patch. The Xbox One upgrade patch for Witcher 3 Wild Hunt introduces a number of graphical features and tweaks to the game across 2 visual fidelity options, 4K mode and performance mode. In 4K mode, the game will run in 4K resolution or super sampled on a non-4K display with stable 30 frames per second gameplay, whereas performance mode enables dynamic resolution scaling from 1080p up to 4K while targeting 60 frames per second during gameplay. Both modes support HDR. Now, I've seen a lot of talk on Twitter and elsewhere. A lot of people are really craving this HDR for this game. It's got some great art. It's probably going to look really well, and I've seen people saying they're going in for their second run-through of their game, their third run-through, maybe even their fourth, just to experience what the game offers on HDR. Now, while it is going to be an HDR today on Xbox, an HDR patch will be coming to PlayStation 4 sometime in January. They did mention that on Twitter. However, they haven't said anything about a performance mode coming to the PS4. This is pretty great. I'm like halfway through The Witcher 3. I mean, it is a long game. It's a great game. I put it down because I always move on to other things, and it was taking up a lot of my time. And now we have this choice here. And this is what I like about the Xbox One X and even this mid-gen upgrade stuff, right? I like the choice where I can choose between running the game in 4K or running the game in 1080p 60 frames. Because if I go back to this game, I will probably choose to run this in 1080p 60, or at least get it close to 60, because you can see there it says it targets 60 FPS during gameplay, which means it won't probably be at 60 the entire time. It'll probably fluctuate between 40, maybe 50 in some of the more intensive areas. But either way, you know, the frame rate for this type of game is something I would want. And, you know, I would probably switch back and forth, you know, here and there to see what the game looks like in 4K mode, of course. HDR, though, is kind of the big one here. Can't wait to see what that looks like, although I don't really have the best HDR television yet. Now, the patch for this was only like 500 megs. It's kind of crazy that they got, you know, they squeezed in 4K HDR in the performance mode with 500 megabyte update. But they also added some more things. So they said the list of changes for the Xbox One X here, you have 2 new graphic modes, 4K mode and performance mode, which we just talked about, support for 4K resolution, HDR support, enhanced shadows, ambient occlusion, and texture filtering, higher resolution textures, dynamic resolution scaling from 1080p to 4K. So, man, if you haven't played Witcher 3 yet, if you've been waiting for this moment to play it, and now you have these two options to choose from, 4K and performance with HDR, and you have that TV that does that, you are in for a treat. Because even though I haven't finished The Witcher 3, it's one of the best RPGs I've ever played. I know exactly why and agree with people that say, well, I don't agree with it because I haven't finished it, but I understand where people come from when they say that it's the game of the generation. That has a lot of content, plus 2 DLCs that are bigger than most games that come out. I mean, think about that. Most of those DLCs are like 10 to 20 hours. I think it was nominated for like Best RPG last year at the VGAs, and it was just a DLC. But anyways, I know a lot of you are happy today with this patch. Kind of came out of nowhere. It was changed from in development to coming soon, and then all of a sudden today it's here. A lot of people are going to go back and revisit Geralt's adventures, and maybe one day, maybe sometime next year, I'll drop by and finish the game off. But if you're looking to play it right now, make sure you download the patch, and let me know what mode you're going to play this in, because this is the stuff that I find interesting. Are you going to play it in 4K mode with 4K textures and all that good stuff? Or are you going to try it out in performance mode to see how well it runs at 60 frames? That's what I'm really interested in. I was interested when I ran Gears 4 when I first got the X. I thought the 60 frame mode was more impressive to me, but maybe you're the one who really likes 4K. And I'm sure Digital Foundry will get their hands on the game today, test it out. We'll probably see what exactly it runs at in both modes. I'm sure they'll compare it against the PlayStation 4 version or the PlayStation 4 Pro version, because that's what they do. So I'm sure all the information will be coming out about exactly how well it performs, and is it native 4K? I mean, it doesn't really say native 4K in the description. It just says 4K mode, so it's probably not native 4K, and it probably doesn't run all the way up to 60 frames, but hey, you know, what are you going to do? It's a beast of a game, right? Anyways, guys, that is the video. And you actually wouldn't believe how many people have asked me about when do I know when this patch was coming, which is one of the reasons why I did this video, because I got about a message almost every other day on either Xbox Live or on my comments here about if I knew when the patch was coming. So it's actually nice to be able to be like, hey, if you're paying attention to the channel, if you subscribe or if you have the notifications on, you'll be the first to know that the patch is available right now for the X. There'll be another patch coming for the Pro later on to enable HDR, but who knows if it enables the performance mode. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. Consider subscribing to the channel for more content, and I'll see everybody in the next video. Later, guys.